Also, you need the eggs, because Kurt doesn't want it anymore ever.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, my coffee cut down for a while. Glad me, thanks.
Happy over here. Happy over here. He said we didn't kill him to yes, we didn't.
I'm actually pretty good.
You are, we were scheduled to do these things.
Oh, you know.
I know, I'm surrounded by your people. But, and the Jake's on the other side, we can wait. Yes, absolutely. He's gonna be so excited when he sees him. Yeah. Yeah, we did. It was awesome. You're a wonderful family. I know. Yeah. Oh, it's so nice out there. Police places, because they are, police and wouldn't talk about it. No, they think Tracy to buy it, the Tracy's gonna buy it, then they want my kids to buy it. That's what I was told, what happened, that's when I left there, it was the weeks.
It's the other week.
It's all over and it's working and maybe you can have. Oh, flowers in the back.
I can send you.
Long as Tracy wants to learn that from her age. Yeah, it is not big just for her, she has a big house up in one,
Different stages of transfer.
the house is a big, look at the lawn.
Yes, it is.
You still saying it's much better than Super?
You know what they would do, like, a heck of a deal.
It sounds like.
So we're just saying, we're.
Just
So.
If we think about
Council.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning.
Morning.
Same to do is approve the agenda. So moved. Been moved
I'll second it.
and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comments. If the public wish to speak, here.
I do, so I'm just gonna speak for everybody that's been yelling at me all week. You know, if the DOT can afford a stupid roundabout, why can't they just put, road treatment on the whole K Avenue thing from town to DuPont? Because all of that dust that's in between is now going on all of the covered, steel coated, whatever that junk is, that doesn't last very long. So why don't they just do the whole thing and stop putting roundabouts in? That's what everybody would like to know. I mean, as the traffic goes by 50 every half hour, and I'm not exaggerating, and some people are going on over now to Ann Avenue, I've been told that. And if they can afford a roundabout in Toledo, it seems to me they could afford to put steel coat on that whole K Avenue. Cause it's, I don't know. Hope nobody gets hurt. Hope nobody gets hurt.
Yep.
That's my public comment to honor everybody who's online that's been talking to me for a week and a half now. Amen. Done.
Yes.
Richard.
I believe I can talk later.
Okay.
Other than the fact I'd like a fast meeting, I have a planter waiting.
And he wants to go buy cow-calf pairs at Stillman.
Fine, I can't afford cows.
Yeah.
Not at your wage.
63 traffic is big and it's all the way over. I live on H and there's just tons. I've had near misses with big heavy equipment that they're pulling it up H, and H isn't very wide either.
Yep,
There's new gravel there and it's dusty,
yep.
terribly dusty. So it's everywhere.
And they're going forward with binding, but one of our big planners almost got hit, not mine, just the end of last week. That was that horrible, for the guy that would have hit him and a farmer.
Yep.
People just have got to stop when they're reading this stuff. I know I said it a week ago, they gotta stop.
So they should just follow the DOT route and go to 21.
That's what Casey said, but you know that
I've
ain't gonna
driven all
happen.
three. I drove all three this weekend. And 21 is the fastest, safest
I
route.
was on it, yeah. I went to Desert yesterday, so.
I did T47, I went through Binding and 21, so.
Well, and if people are taking K Avenue, when I came this morning, Blattner Energy is pulling out the rock, so there's several, trucks pulling the rock out as well, so and then the fertilizer, so it's very busy this morning, so, yeah, we're
It's about 6:30, or excuse me, 6 o'clock, 6 in the morning.
People are gonna take it, they can just take their time, I mean, you don't wanna rush and end up,
I think we can't say it enough, Heather, because somebody could get hurt. This is,
Yeah.
we only had a week of this so far.
for sure.
Can't say it enough.
I only drove it once in the county car, and I said, never again, will not, I'm going all the way around.
Right, the
And
dust,
I always
drove
got
it
hit
once on
twice,
Friday.
people coming over, and that road is so narrow and there's no side to
There's
pull
deep
off
ditches.
onto. I mean, I had to hit my brakes hard in the county car, and I was like, and the guy couldn't help himself, it was a 3/4 ton pickup truck pulling hay bales, and the wind caught him, and he popped over the top of the hill. And I'm coming up, and he was over in our lane, and I was like, oh, no, I'll go over.
good thing is dust control did get put down on K Avenue, so at least that's helping at the intersections of
Not
the
very
houses,
much.
so but it's better than nothing, for sure, I mean.
For sure.
It's helping to at least dusty, not dusty, cause it got dusty quick, so at least they got that down quickly. I know everybody else in the county's not down yet and they hurried up and put that down, so,
The worst spots are south of Lawrence Hushok and Dean Upa,
yeah,
because they're narrower there.
yeah. I know Casey's got a speed limiter kind of deal on that road too, you're. coming-
That is very helpful.
When you're coming from Toledo, yeah.
Yes, that's very helpful. I'm glad he did that.
Then there's a calf out this morning too on K Avenue.
Oh, my goodness.
That was
What's that?
terrible.
There was a calf out this morning on K
Oh,
Avenue.
no,
Stay alert on that road.
like what are you talking about?
Was it in the ditch at least for it?
It was on the road. There was wool beaters.
Wait a minute, up by the common landfill? Baby calf or big calf?
Baby.
Aaron's like, wait a minute.
I know, it's like. Lawrence and Lawrence,
Shirley. Shirley and
yeah, that'd probably be lying, yeah. Thank you. I know, Heather, I know.
All right, well, continue to. Hopefully everybody drives safe. I mean, major accidents, there was a bunch of those, like when they did 63 South. I wish they would just do it in sections, give us a way to around, but it is a state project, so we don't really have much say so. I know that we tried to coordinate as much as we could ahead of time because we were in this position last year. Not with the DOT, but we saw it coming and it's the same area, so you guys get twice.
Bridge,
What's that?
the two-part bridge.
Close public comments and move to discuss and approve the 4/27/26 meeting minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Road projects report. I think we just had it.
I got some other stuff to add. Looks like finished hauling rock on H Avenue to E29. And then started hauling rock from the windmill site and rock the roads going east and west of 63. With that, they'll be working on chlorides this week, as along with what Heather said, K Avenue's already got that down. They already sprayed the chloride for that, so. And he said that, the chloride believes to be done on K Avenue, LL Avenue, and H, so that should help out. That's all I got.
Yep.
Then we got a utility permit.
Utility permit for IOU.
Motion we approve the utility permit.
Been moved,
I'll second it.
and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next. Discussion possible action on amendment to engineer DOT budget.
So you guys submitted that, that the administrative costs are higher than what was budgeted. So he's asking to we amend that budget to represent that. He said it shouldn't be covered with other savings throughout the budget, so it might even possibly.
Okay. Just to update the DOT so he can submit it. I saw that it was from Ben.
Yeah, I thought
On April 30th.
But we still using the email address?
Yeah, he's still using.
You know it.
I make a motion, we accept the amendment.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the budget amendment for secondary roads for the DOT secondary road budget. Does it need to be signed?
Yeah. I'll be signing the meeting.
Yeah.
I'll be signing after the meeting.
Okay.
Nick's already signed it.
Motion to do the authorization to sign.
Yes. And I authorize double second that.
Doug, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Secondary roads, 10 out of 40 work weeks. We had, I got a text a while back from the union. They had asked us to, look at approving this. And so the way that it's set up, I guess the union approves it to go to a 4-day work week. And then we vote on it. And if it's, agreed upon, then that's what it is. And they said, I talked to them, or was, having messages back and forth with, Mr. Konachik, and he said that they approved for 4 10-hour days, Monday through Thursday. So guess we'll open that up for discussion and possible action.
Yeah, they've been doing it for years, so.
Kurt, was on the email. Did you ask, somebody asked?
I asked the engineer.
What his thought is on it, what
They
they do.
don't do it down in Iowa County, just the fact that it saves money going 8 hours, and there's no one in on Friday, we have to call someone in for Friday. If we have an emergency or whatever, then we gotta pay overtime and all that. I think we should just stay on 5/8. That's my opinion.
What's the workload like? I mean, does the workload support 10 hours?
No, it's just the same.
He gave us one, like several
Yeah.
bullet points. They said as far as he could tell, like the negatives would be the Friday, nobody is being on Friday. It seems like always on Friday, there's gonna be some kind of a crisis that needs to be averted. And so whatever you're saving by taking, going to the 410s, make up on spending on people coming in on overtime on Fridays. The thing that was the positive for us is that you don't have to deploy as much equipment on that Friday, because then they're already just out working.
Said you save on commuting time, like when you're,
Yeah.
if we have a pretty big county trying to, I know we talked about this last year too, but
So I guess my biggest concern is do they have enough work that they're fully employed for 10 hours? If they're not,
Well, what's the difference if you do, is, that's just like saying that you don't have enough work to do it on Friday then,
right,
you know what I mean?
maybe, my concern is if they're having to come in on Fridays.
That's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
It's, they don't come in maybe once or twice a summer.
And so basically, this is to give them a 3-day weekend
Yeah.
all through the summer.
And it does stuff. You can take the whole day of startup and shut down time again too. You know how things work with the road department. You count two break times during the day. It's supposed to be 15 minutes, but usually is a little longer. Plus a lunch, which usually is a little longer. It eliminates that. I think it's a good thing, being a road department guy, it's something for, they enjoy, or, you know, it's for their benefit, and they, you know, it did not hurt, I don't think, our situation of lack of work or anything like that. We've been doing it for eons.
How's it working with our new foreman? I mean, are guys getting up and getting going quicker, or, you know, like how's does anybody know how it's been going, I guess?
Off the same.
Let's say.
They did really good, and then it just kind of played out.
Is Taylor still in school too?
Yeah.
So. Nick's filling in for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if they are all wanting it, you know, and again, I don't know how much we're really losing in money. I know, like I said, last year, we were back and forth what to do, and kind of leaning towards
The office,
Silver, I guess.
the office is still in every office, and somebody else in the office,
The office and Shane are in every day.
Shane.
And the form, it's all the non-unions, right?
Yeah, all the non-unions.
So the foreman would still be there.
Shane stays in just for his work or whatever. I think I've seen an email on that right here.
And those guys are salary, like the foremen's and that, right? So they don't get overtime coming in Fridays and doing tens, right?
But then it also becomes a problem on the 4th of July of paying that 10 hours. They're on 10-hour days, so it's a 10-hour vacation day, which I think I seen an email from Paul, which that doesn't have to be, it could be just be 8 hours, is that correct?
And say if Shane does 8 hour, that stops the 10-hour holiday. Because they all have to be doing 10-hour for it to be a 10-hour holiday, and Shane is union, so.
Has it ever been paid 10?
No,
Yeah, I think
It's
it
never
should
been
just be
paid
an
10,
8
so
hour.
it's been an 8
they
hour.
flip back to that 1 week, they flip back and work 4 8s. And then have the 4th of July holiday as their 5th. So they don't lose and have to use any leave.
Right, that'd make way more, yeah, like how that's done. I mean, it's probably a good way too, with work-life balance and just getting guys to wanna do it too.
It's a morale thing. I think it'll help morale, and it's not hurting us as a budget. So I make a motion, we accept the 10-hour days. Or 10-hour days.
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the 4-hour, 4-hour days. They would love that.
Yeah.
Or 10-hour.
4-hour days.
Yeah, then everybody goes.
Yeah.
My only concern was, last year we had asked them to try to cover Fridays, you know, just a skeleton crew on Fridays, and then they never did. It's the same thing for this year, and so there's been no movement on it. I would prefer that we would find a plan that we could work, you know, that would fit all of our needs. That's the only thing that I think that we really are concerned with is the Fridays. That, not having anybody in on Friday, and so I don't know how they would do it, but have a skeleton crew here. And then they could alternate Fridays because there's, should be an equal amount.
An on-call or kind of a deal.
So if we're voting on the 4 10-hour days, Monday through Thursday, I would reject it and just ask that we would have some kind of plan that they would bring to us that would cover everybody's concerns. If we make any sense to do it that way.
When-
Are you making an amendment? Is that your asking?
No, I think that the motion is like for Monday through Thursday, not for that. I would be for doing it for tens, but as long as we can alternate, some people can work.
Take
Alternate
Mondays
days,
off.
take Monday or Friday, the alternating weeks.
It'd be interesting to see how many actual Friday instances we've had.
Yep, if you have coverage, there won't be any. If you.
I know, but if you only have one or two of summer, what's the big deal? But, you know, I understand what you're saying. If it's a 5, 6, 7 time or almost every Friday situation, it'd be nice to have somebody in there.
Yeah, I'm not there, and so I don't know. That's just concerned that other people have put out that do work.
Yeah.
I think it happened more than once or twice a season though, from what Chris has been telling me. Seems to happen more often than it doesn't.
What was the date they were wanting to start this?
It's a holiday.
It goes Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Okay,
So we got.
so we have a little bit of time.
There's 101 days between the two.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably easier just to, yeah, ask them if they can do that first. And then we could bring it back to another meeting. I know we already got a motion.
No, that's fine,
We can
yeah.
always pull it back or we can vote on whatever you want to do.
And he's
I think we vote on this one and then let them, you know, like they could, because I think they have to vote on whatever we approve. I think they have to approve the same thing that we approve. And just give a message back to them and say, we rejected this, but we'd be open to the 4 10-hour days as long as there's coverage on Fridays, so you guys have to work, and do whatever.
And there may be some guys, whether it's a Friday or Monday, if it was me, like it's not gonna matter. Some people might not care, you know?
Yeah,
So then if we do this, you or somebody will take it back to them to figure out which guys are gonna want Mondays and which Fridays.
Yeah.
Ultimately. And I think we talked about this last year. Was there issues if a whole crew wasn't there, but now we don't have the bridge crew? Is there any other people that need to work together? I mean, you got excavators need obviously dump trucks, you know, to load or whatnot, but that'd be the
There's
biggest thing.
mechanics on hand on Friday as well, if you got.
yeah, mechanics are the ones that you have to have at least one mechanic.
Two,
Two.
yeah.
Safe.
Huh?
That's for safety.
Yeah, I mean, if someone breaks down on the
On
field.
breakdowns, yeah, especially if you have a mower man out there,
So good.
flat tire or something.
Well, put on this and then we'll get back to them, let's bring it back next week probably. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah,
Next.
And I'll say,
that one, doesn't pass, but we can put it on again for next week.
yeah, I think that's a smart move. That way we can get confirmation from them and then we can vote and be happy with it. And just for the record, I've had the Fridays off and then it switched to Mondays off to accommodate that. It's fine.
Yeah.
3-day weekend.
Not a big
It's
deal.
3-day weekend either way.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
there was a pre-construction agreement. Did we?
Okay, we skipped over some item right
Did I?
before that too.
apologies. Discussion and possible action on IDOT pre-construction agreement.
For the rumble strips on T-47.
Side sewer D,
Nick's on your vote.
estimated cost $40.
Said T-47 south by Montour.
Yeah, come down the hill.
Definitely a good thing. I'll make a motion to accept it.
The move second and second to approve. Any discussion?
I guess we thought it was supposed to be on the back page. It said 700. Oh, we ended up going with the Mumble. I thought we were doing the cheaper, the Rumble. That's 700 each and this says 2,200 each. Trying to flash back to when we approved this way back then, but
I don't remember talking about it, to be honest.
Or some of the discussion between Mumble and
Yes, now that you said that, you choose the
I
model.
think we went cheaper because it's just your normal Rumble strips. I don't see why we would That was the only thing is, do we have a, might need to look back at those minutes. See, the emails are from around March 20th. Might need to bring this back. I wanna make sure we get the right one, because I don't wanna pay 4,100 if we can do.
It says in here, it says in here that the board approved rumble strips.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be 700 each, not 2,200 each.
It's saying rumble. Being,
Yeah, are we being charged more than if did it come in higher, but it's supposed to be? Rumbles is only 700 each and Mumble was 2,200 each, and so it appears like they are charging us for the amount that Mumbles were. I might need to get clarification from them.
That's a good catch.
It looked like they know they're gonna reimburse us for it, and that was for you, and not reimburse us for it either.
what's that?
In the email, it looked like they were gonna reimburse us for putting these in, but then they-
$1,000.
Chris told me that they will not be reimbursed, so it is a cost to.
Rumble strips that were reimbursed.
And that would be whether it's Rumble or Mumble, correct? Okay.
So where did it get changed from rumble to mumble?
I don't know, because it still says Rumble, but it's their own price, so
And they're charging us for,
under Exhibit B.
Yeah. Project cost 2A, it says $4,400.
Someone clicked wrong, drop down.
Okay.
Want to amend to approval on being rumble? Or do we want to just get it corrected?
Yeah, we could change it to 1,400 instead of 4,400 for Exhibit B, but if we do that, and then that's not what they say, change what the original code was.
I think they just. There's some place, maybe the accident, let's say rumble pay also 2,200 if we
Should just say 1,400.
If we did 700 and 1,400.
Yeah, if we can amend it to that,
Approve that and then send that to them.
and then okay. I'll make that motion that we approve and amend Exhibit B to show cost of $700 each and a total, since there's two, of $1,400. So,
Good moved.
I'll second.
Well, sorry. Was there a motion?
I thought there was a motion.
There was.
We were in discussion, sorry.
So do we amend it or withdraw and then?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
And then replace it with what she said?
Yes,
Second.
I seconded hers.
Okay. Who made the original? You made.
I made the original and somebody, and David seconded.
So you're,
oh, yeah,
I'll withdraw my second.
you're right, I forget.
okay, now you're making a motion.
Yep.
Are you with us? Police auditor,
She got it. She's just been writing.
Mrs. George, sorry.
Yep.
So Heather's making a motion. To amend it, $700 each, $1,400, total cost.
Yep.
And Gilmore seconded.
Good catch.
Yep, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
The wages will not be docked this week.
Just prove that. Saved $3,000.
There we go.
Discussion, and possible action on FY 25 cost allocation plan. This is a lengthy document. We do have a summary. This is the department. They go through, isn't this for the state stuff? DHS through indirect costs. This is the report that CASI, Cost of Information Services Incorporated, provides to the county, looking at what we pay for and then what the indirect cost to us is for their services. And so this year, it is around $61,271. A copy of our correspondence to the local office of the HHS, which provides guidance for claiming these costs on the LAE reports, is also enclosed herein for your reference, which is the really long plan. If we have any questions, Jeff Lorenz is the contact. Questions?
So just so I'm clear, they're going to give us 61,000
Yes,
and we said, and
they don't give us a check factor.
Yes, yes, you're right, we will.
So
It's,
our total cost is 185,000 indirect costs. I think we're reimbursable for 61,000.
$61,271.
Yeah,
Okay.
from the HHS for 30% or whatever the indirect cost is. 31. 30.
Do we have to vote on this or is this just for information?
so you vote on this so that you can sign off that that is, we agree that that's what they came up with and you report it to the state.
I'll make a motion, we approve the FY 25 cost allocation plan and allow the chairman to sign.
Second.
And seconded. Just so we're clear, we estimate that about 33% of the total claims for the year will be reimbursed to the county from federal funds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion possible action on 2080 agreement with Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Center.
Okay, so this goes back to a lawsuit that occurred and has been settled. And part of the lawsuit was that they would have to go back and get everybody who was a member of or want to become a member. We qualify as a member because we met the original criteria, but a lot of other counties did not. So all this 2080 has done is restate what the lawsuit said they had to do in order to bring things back into alignment. And so what they're asking is everybody who is part of the commission and those who want to be part of the commission. So some people were excluded because the processes were not followed.
Is there a joining fee?
We do not have a joining fee because,
Do any of the others that,
yes,
what's the joining fee?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount. It's a 1%, I think, of the number of people in the population that's that county.
$1 per capita.
Yeah. So 2D states that.
So is it a brand new agreement or it's a 2080 that was always out there and it's just re-getting signatures kind of?
It's a brand new agreement specifically aimed towards people who were excluded. We were not
Okay.
excluded. So it's 10, if my memory serves me correctly, 10 counties were already still in it. We were one of them.
Okay.
Based on the signing dates, and long story short, there was some lack of filings with the Secretary of State, and Hardin County sued, and they won in the lawsuit, and so that excluded certain counties. We were not excluded, but everybody has to re-sign the 2080 agreement.
Yep. So the sticking point with the agreement was that people who are already considered part of the voting body, who are already members, were kicked out because there wasn't proper paperwork filed with the state.
Okay.
And so they were part of the group before, they were kicked out. essentially through the agreement on the lawsuit. They're wanting to come back in, but now we're assessing them a penalty of $1 per capita to rejoin something that they were already doing. And so
Gotcha.
that's kind of the sticking point. We're not part of that because we were part of the original agreement. But, it's a fairness question. Is it fair for somebody who's already a member of a group to be kicked out, because of improper filings on the administration's part and then charged to get back in? And the argument about charging to get back in is that there is startup money from years and years and years ago that, you know, with the building. Well, if anything ever, if that place ever closes up, we have an investment there. We have, you know, we're part owner. And so they would divide it,
Okay.
but it's gonna be just on the structure. And would probably be, I mean, it'll be like trying to get money out of the juvenile,
Yeah.
you know, so I don't understand the whole process. I thought that it was kind of a silly argument to have and or to make. Because if the only assets there are the hard assets that are there, and we're gonna recover the money that we put into it. It goes all the way back 30 years. So.
Are the board members just county people, like one supervisor from each area, or is it
Yeah.
other board members too?
No, it's just one supervisor, and they changed it so that like, for example, we could appoint Karen to go,
Right.
but it has to be an elected official.
That would be good. The point keeps.
It's that.
The point keeps.
Not here.
So they did, the people, the former members, if you look at paragraph 2, and then it drops down to 2, former members may opt to participate as non-members by declining the initial fee. So they will have no voting rights and no equity, but they can they'll still pay the same amount that we would pay.
But their bid day goes up, right?
No.
Like how much per day?
No, it doesn't go up. It's just, but it has to be they had to have been former members. Anybody else, like for example, the state of Nebraska sends a lot of people over, they have to pay a higher daily.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
So what's a yes vote mean from us or a no vote? What's that?
A yes vote just says that we're agreeing to the terms that have been laid out.
If you disagree with what you disagree with, there should be a no vote. That it's not fair or.
But
if
it
we do
really
that-
doesn't affect us, Tama County's
But
budget.
if we do that, then the rate that we would end up paying, well, if we opt out.
We've been in since 2000, and so we're already in, we're just saying, yes, we're still in, pretty much is what this agreement's doing, right? Then would you sign it, David? Are you still the rep, or is it?
I don't know, no,
Or is
it
it
has to be
someone
our
else?
chairman.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was signed it, okay.
Says Commissioner member.
Yeah, cause when I did
Sign it.
I could.
some of my boards, I have to sign. Good.
Basically, this was a long, drawn out process.
Very well.
Yeah, and I personally thought it was an unnecessary one. But it went to court, the court, found for Hardin County. Hardin County's another lawsuit.
We settled outside of court.
Yeah,
Is there other changes coming too, or is this the main one? This is it. Presentation from your side, I mean,
I make a recommendation that we approve and sign it. And I'll sign it then.
second it.
Second one. So the only thing, I would just say if we approve the language, it has to be approved by everybody. So if we wanted changes to it, we can not approve it and ask for changes to be made, and then it goes through the approval process again, but it has to be approved by every member for the language that we would want. We would just I was going to approve it, I would take that part of it out
What,
without making them pay a joining fee. So they're making them pay the joining fee, even though it's not us, it's done. Kind of looking out for other counties. I also don't know that it's, you know, like all the,
Right.
but
Does it hurt us if other people don't, like, come back to us? You know, like, what will they do instead, I guess?
The commission would have to go back through, redo the 2080, and then resend it out again.
we would have to have negotiations. I mean,
Yeah,
they don't have to take it out. They could approve, all of them approve it, but us, and then we would be out.
gotcha.
And there was a lot of discussion and debate on this little portion right here.
Yep. That's,
And so, I mean, this was the better of the two. Because if you decide that you're going to pay, you can start voting immediately. The other option was you couldn't vote until you paid off the entire fee. But in essence, it would be cheaper because the former members, they would just not be able to vote at the commission meetings. They'd still get the same rights as far as how much they're paying to pursue. So
were they okay with the counties that were kicked out?
basically, they couldn't vote, but they were all there and they all heard what was presented, so.
But they're okay with the compromise?
They had time to put it in their budget and such, they've probably known about it for a while here, that they
Well,
could get it in.
They've got 90 days but up to 5 years to pay off the initial fee. So if they decide to move, so right now, if they decide to go forward and become a member again, they've got 5 years to pay,
So they,
and they can pay a little at a time.
Okay.
Or they could say, you know, we're not gonna do it.
Right.
We get to keep the $150 a day thing, but we just can't vote at the meetings.
Okay. Cool. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll sign this copy and give it to you.
Discussion of possible action regarding public health and home care budget.
So I'm going to give an update. I've been communicating back and forth with Megan, and they are interested in providing home health care in Tama County. But in order to do that, they have to have, get an approval from the Department of Inspections and Appeals. It's a 501c3. And they collect the money. And that's how they pay everybody. So the only money that they would look like they would come to us for would be the indigent care. But everybody they serve, they file for insurance, whether it be Medicare or whatever private insurance they have. That's how they're funded. So they've got about 30 people working for them right now. They would have to hire a few more to serve Tame, but they did ask if we made the agreement that we would have like a closet for them to put their paperwork and stuff so that they wouldn't have to travel all the way to Hardin County to get the stuff and back. So still, like I said, there's still some things that they need to do before they can solidify the home health care issue with us. But they're moving forward with dotting the i's, crossing the t's, whatever come back to us.
The public health would stay the same.
But no, the public health would stay, they would not take on public health. So we would still have to pay for public health here based on the code.
so you said with that one, Hardin County has their public health people sit with them? Or like, how did you figure out how much they pay or
So
something?
they have 2 people in public health. One of the persons there is paid by the county of half paid, and the other half is paid by their company. But they're not interested in taking that on here. So basically what it would do for our county is all of the home health care would be paid for by insurance. And then in the indigent care, so, and the deal they have with Hardin County right now is $150,000 set aside for indigent care, and they invoice the care that they provide. So 150,000 for the whole year, and then as they take care of the person, they'll invoice Hardin County for against that $150,000. I don't know what it would be for our county. They'd have to look at the number of people that have indigent care. So that's information for now. They need to come back with some more, telling us whether or not they got the approval from the whole county. They're also in Grundy County, but I don't think they're doing the whole of the county. They're doing certain individuals in Grundy County.
There's no action.
No action, just right now it's an information. When if they come forward with a proposal, I'll make sure they come down here and meet the board and talk through it.
That's information sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. Richard, did you have something you wanted to say?
Let me understand, are you talking about the private group up at Hardin County
Yes,
coming here, taking care of Medicare patients only?
no, Medicare and whatever other insurance people have.
What was my understanding, the three groups you guys wanted to make sure we covered were VA, Squawky, and people that don't have insurance. Okay, so are we talking that this next year, what you guys approved a couple of weeks ago goes forward? And are you looking at this to start possibly next year?
Or maybe mid-year, it depends on when they come back to us with their proposal, then.
Because we as a board are making decisions about moving forward till the 1st of June, our next meeting. Lori is our interim person directing. We're looking at hiring a new director. But we need to know what you guys are doing or what you expect from us. And it would be very difficult to hire a new director that is, if it's a nurse or if it's Lori, I don't know. That decision hasn't been made. But if you guys are looking at having a company out of Iowa Falls or up there at Hardin County, coming down here. Yeah. It'd be almost impossible to hire somebody. So,
Richard, this is moving fast. I mean,
yeah, I know.
And already, they've moved quite fast. They've got to get some approvals first before they can present. But basically, it's a 501c3 private company. They take care of all the finances.
Right.
And they hire the people to serve. And they've been doing it since 1989 in Hardin County. So
I have no problem with that. But where does that leave us? Where does that leave the Board of Health and our employees?
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying, well, pretty soon you're gonna be out of the job? Are you gonna fire all these people?
I don't know the answer to that question right now. Well, but here's the thing. We asked this question last year. We asked it again this year. And I found out that there's a company that's available because Hardin County's been using it for since '89.
Mm-hmm.
And they approached me and said, well, hey, why don't you talk to these folks? I did. And then they presented us this information. This has been since 2 weeks now? That's only 2 weeks into it now. And I think it behooves us as a county to look at it because we would not be paying for home health care. If they were to take it on, they would provide the same service. I think they actually provide a little more, but they would provide the same service. And they would incur all the costs and they would pay for it based on the insurance they charge.
What about the people that don't have insurance?
That was the indigent care.
Yeah.
So I heard that. Right. So we would have to know the total number and then figure out what that amount is. And then our board would have to vote whether or not we're going to provide.
you know, basically 2 weeks ago, 4 people voted to approve moving forward for the next year. I guess I want to know from you four, why are you thinking of backing off from that decision?
I think that to clarify what I think there's some, I don't even know what to call them, some discrepancies.
Yeah.
So one discrepancy is, I don't know that we targeted three groups of individual vendors. I don't know where that came from. Muscogee pays for their own care.
That's what
Do
you
they
say.
not?
I mean,
Muscogee pay for their own, we pay nothing. So that group is out of that, out of that loop, so I don't know where that narrative came from. The veterans have their own. And they're paid through the federal government. If they're a veteran, there's qualifying, issues. The only group that we were talking about are the indigent that don't have, like they make too much and to get on the insurance, and so they're on the sliding fee scale. So that's the group that we're talking about. So that's the first clarification. The second clarification, if you're talking about hiring a new director, and I thought we made very clear that we don't want you to do that. We want you to work with what you have. There was too much administrative costs. And so that's what we're trying to eliminate. And so if you hire a new director, that's money that could be going towards services, right? Can you not do with what you have? I don't know, can you? That's a question.
I'm the newbie over there. You guys know that. And the answer to a lot of these questions, there's other people who can answer you better than I can. But to me, it looks to me like we should operate this next year on the basis of your vote 2 weeks ago. And 6 months from now, start looking at different options going down the road.
On the decertification, we already had to transfer our patients that were Medicare or other insurances to other agencies. They were given a list of who they wanted to contact and work with. I was there, Unity Point, what were the other ones on that list? There was a list.
Unity Point for now will come up to Tama Toledo, and we've tried to get a hold of Blackhawk County. They are not telling us they will or will not come down and help out. We have contacted Keystone, we're recommending Keystone. We've got a list of about 6 people we're working with. And us nurses are directly trying to help get the care transferred over to the new company. Our biggest problem is, sir, is here's the thing. We go into houses every day and it's sad. All we can do is apologize. Over and over and over again. Because week after week, it's changing. And these people don't know what's gonna happen to their care in their home. And we have no answers. Sorry. So I think we just are looking for, if this is where it's going, this is where it's going. We're not fighting what you're saying. I understand that. We don't do budgets. We just take care of people. That's what we do. Can we do this? We think that we can, but we're not a board. We're just the employees. So that's why we're here, just to say, we need something to tell our patients. It's very hard to go out every day and look at these people and say, I don't know what's gonna happen. Well, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go? I mean, that's the problem at Nita. For us.
And I understand your statement. I understand who you're bringing in.
Yeah.
I'm Kelly, I'm the other nurse. It's just Leanne and I now. Everybody else has resigned. Or has gone on to, or the last 2 out in the field, I should say, other than the 2 homemakers in the bath, it's caring for the people in the county. I see where you're going with them being able to come in and privatize. I guess for myself, we're under the board. The board tells us what to do. You tell the board, you guys, it's a caste system. That's how the county's set up. So I don't want to speak out of place either. But I guess the back and forth, we have guidelines we have to follow by the state of Iowa and the Medicare and the HHS. And right now, as of 2 weeks ago, we had a plan moving forward. Finally, we had a plan, this decertification plan. You guys agreed on it. You said what we were to do, or told us what to do.
We mailed out letters saying, yes, we're gonna continue. We called the hospitals, we called the clinics, we called the VA. We've been calling them every day while out in the field saying, yes, we're gonna take care of your people again. Pull back referrals, that we were getting ready to discharge. Leanne and I have a calendar full of clients that we are trying to either recertify or discharge, or because we have 56 to 60 days with each one of these patients where we have to go out and either discharge and certify. There's guidelines we have to legally follow. We're still CMS certified. And as of now, until that last patient discharges, which if that falls on, say, June 30th, before another agency comes in and takes over your county, we are still left in that office across the street over there doing full OASIS discharges and certifications for all of these people. To that last one discharges, we have to follow the guidelines. It's stringent, it's strict. There are, and see all the people and do all the public health stuff. It's a lot of work, and we kind of need to know where you guys are going. That's, that's where we're coming from, if we're gonna have a job or we're not. And what do we do with the people? The people need to know what's gonna happen to them. It is Hardin County coming to take care of them. We have to legally tell them who's taking over. It's the law. We have to arrange their care, or we get in trouble. We hold licenses with the state of Iowa.
And we take pride in what we do.
Yes.
And I mean, this home health has been here for 60 years. 60 years we've been here doing this. And it's not like we had something over our entire county. It's literally the same thing what you said Hardin County has to apply to the state. We would have had to do the same thing. When we left the county, we had to call the state and apply to the state to say, is it okay if we leave the county to take on these patients? It was just something we never did. It wasn't like we weren't called. We were called by Des Moines. We were called by Marshalltown. We were called by Powashik. We were called by Grinnell. Unity Point, Mercy, Unity Mercy One, all of these hospitals were calling us saying, we need you guys outside the county. We need you guys to leave your county. And our answer was, we are paid by the taxpayers of Tama County. So they have to be our first priority at all times. And we can't put ourselves in a position of going down into Powashik County or Marshall County and helping you guys take care of your people that have no home care because of all the changes that happened. And to me, it was right around 2020. COVID hit, all these people retired, all these things happened, and now you have all these hospitals that had gone in and taken over Powashik County, and a perfect example, taken over their home health. And then they had no staff. And then they didn't have, the Unity Point didn't have a home health for their county anymore. So then they wanted us to go in there. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. At the end of the day, the budget is important to the county, but at the end of the day, we do take care of taxpayers of Tama County and they need answers. That's all we're asking for. That's what's making our job so difficult right now. It's not, am I gonna have a job in a year? Okay, if I'm not gonna have a job in a year, then tell me you're not gonna have a job in a year. We have a plan. We can help make that transfer, but it's the going in week after week and telling these people, I'm sorry, I don't know. Well, I seen that board meeting. Yeah, I'm aware. I watched it as well. How can they do that? I don't know. I'm not a politician. That's not my job. I'm a nurse. I don't talk about your money financial situations because we're trained not to know whether you have millions in the bank or whether you have nothing. I mean, obviously, as nurses for years, we know exactly what we're walking into at the time. But it's hard to tell these people repeatedly over and over and over and over again, I don't know. And it's just been going on for so long.
And we just got done telling them that, yes, we're gonna be there. Yes, we're gonna be there. And now it sounds like maybe,
Yeah, that's what happened too.
It sounds like we won't be, and another agency will be there. Somebody will be there to take care of them.
But that's still an uncertainty once again,
So
so.
we need to know. It's not like we have weeks and weeks and weeks. This takes a long time. It's not fair to the patients. And to be a little selfish, it's not fair to us either.
But the decertification was necessary. There was
Yes.
no way Kelly and I was gonna bring $950,000 to revenue. And we knew that. When we heard that, we were like, what is all this about? There's no possible way that 2 nurses can do this. There's just no way. We have way too big of a county. That's not gonna happen. But I mean, when we had everybody in place, which at one point there were 16 of us, and now we're down to 9 of us. And that is our homemaker, that is our 2 home health things, that is 2 nurses, and then 3 staff to support us. I mean, so that we take care of public health and we try to take care of the people that can't take care of themselves and the veterans. I mean, we try to look at things in a manner of contracts with pharmacies. We're now contracting to do IVs. We're doing infusions for people. So trying to get more contracts in that manner to also increase our revenue to help us offset the cost. Trying to work with the VA, because obviously the VA has been absolutely wonderful with us as to, oh, you're closing. They started sending, and as soon as we called them and said, we're not closing, we're staying open, they reverted them all. We're sending them back to you guys, because we prefer for you guys to take care of
They
them.
pulled back every referral they gave to another agency.
So we were
Right back
hoping to build on that aspect with the VA, because they don't have home care out here. They've been trying for years. And they're still calling us, and they call us from Iowa City and Des Moines. They know us by the first names. You know, hey, can you take this one? Hey, can you do that? You know, I don't want to go out and admit people. If I have to tell them I'm closing in 2 months, I'm sorry. It's not fair. That's the part that's not fair. That's the part that's most upsetting to me.
I'm not understanding why you would need to do a 501c3 with Hardin County when you have other providers that are picking up the Medicare clients. That's just a question that I have.
We're not doing a 501c3 with Hardin. It already exists. So if they offer, they say they can come down here, they're a separate entity right now.
Okay, I don't understood that then. I thought you were doing a contract with them to provide the services.
No,
They're just another agency that could come down.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Right. And I said, they're interested because they think they can make it work. But until they get all of their ducks completely in a row, I don't want to say, let's go down this path. I understand the whole issue, but I guess the part that's frustrating to me is we're now in year 2 and you guys didn't listen to what we asked you to do. And it's frustrating to me because I personally don't even want to be involved in this part of the business because I've got other entities that I'm responsible for. But I got thrown into it because there are better ways of doing business and saving the county money. We're being hit hard by the state because they're capping what we can do. We've kept our levies low. Our goal was to save money for the taxpayers. When I look at the budget, I'm trying to find a spreadsheet that Michelle provided. You have it here? Anybody?
No, I know, I don't want anything.
We're talking $900,000 for healthcare. And we're cutting Medicare, being able to bill Medicare. We're spending way too much money to provide service for the people that need it out there, then you guys are providing the service. Had you guys gone down the path that we asked last year, we wouldn't be here today. And then we asked again this year. And we're spending way too much money on administrative costs. I have the same problem with the schools. I'm not dealing with the schools. But I have the same problem with the schools. We pay administrators a lot of money and the teachers don't get the money. I submit the same thing happens with the home health care people. They're not being paid what they're worth. That's the way I look at it. But we're spending a lot of money on administrative costs. And we asked you guys to cut that. You didn't do it. And now it's the people underneath the administrators that are suffering. So we, as a board member, I have to keep looking hard at what's the best way to do business. And honestly, I think this is what you guys should have done last year and this year. So what I see us doing is we're going down the path. Thank you. We're going down. So we're paying public health salaries and everything's $545,897. That's the right public health. That's it. Home health care is $418,477. And your ask for us is $526,000, so over $500,000. And then you're going to bring in, over $500,000. That's what this says you're gonna do. You haven't hit your revenues in most years. Most years, what you say you're gonna get, you haven't brought it in. So I mentioned it last week. You've lost my trust, you've lost my confidence because we didn't fix it. And now I see us trying to fix it. My goal is, and I mean, we voted, I abstained, but we voted. Okay, so we proceed. But at some point in time in the relatively near future, it needs to change. It's gotta change. So to answer your question, Richard, there was a vote, I abstained. So right now that vote stands. Okay. But as we move forward, and I'm putting everybody on notice, as we move forward, it's gonna change. It may change in 3 months, it may change in 6 months, it may change next year, but it's going to have to change. And I don't know, Mark, am I stating this clearly?
I think just from a historical perspective, we came into the budget cycle this year. And we had given, sent out a letter basically saying that we had a lot of taxpayers that were looking at this. Because there's no other county around, you know, we're just kind of a unique situation. There was no debate on how well people were being cared for. And so we have employees, we have people who are receiving the care, and then you have the taxpayer. And so we have to kind of weigh all of those things. You're not gonna make any one group happy. I mean, everybody's going to be upset. And so the kind of the compromise, I thought, whenever you guys came in with the proposal, and that's why there's been so much back and forth, because we've honestly been given different proposals from the employee's perspective. There was a proposal a couple of weeks, I say a couple of weeks ago, but it was maybe a lot of them by times going together. But it was a proposal that said, we're gonna keep Medicaid and Medicare, and that's gonna be able to fund all of the people who don't have insurance. And so we would break even essentially. And then we were approached after that and said, that's not gonna happen. We're going to decertify Medicaid and Medicare, which was where all that extra money was gonna come for. So now it's a different ball game, right? And so we're talking kind of a couple of weeks ago. And then after looking at it was approved, after looking at the very specific things in that proposal, it was pretty evident to us that we still wanted to cut administrative costs, which I think that we can still do. But when we're talking about replacing the administrator that just left, I think that that's counterproductive to what the narrative was, like going in. And if you guys are you guys being included in the Board of Health
We
meetings?
we have been coming to board meetings now. Kelly and I have been, and just listening and talking, especially today's Stacy's last day.
After the initial proposal of the $950,000 revenue plan, we listened to that meeting in the office. And we requested a Board of Health meeting because we knew being out in the field and how numbers have decreased and declined, and what we see from our side of it, that was not a sustainable model.
Well, and when our nurses started resigning and leaving, because, I mean,
At one time it was, we were
Yeah,
already moving forward.
we had already met our Medicare. We were hoping to gain another quarter of our Medicare. So that would have been a lot more, like I said, doing the referrals and doing the coding. I've been working on it, going from a return of $1,200 a month to $5,000 a month. And that was just with, and Stacy did provide me with some tools that I had not been given before. So I was finally learning, like, okay, this is where I get this is where I come from that, this is how I can fix this. So yes, we could see going exactly where you want to go. That's where we were. But then when everybody started resigning and all this was coming up and
the damage in the community.
yeah, it really damaged us horribly. And we just finally sit back, and we had to go to the Board of Health and say, Kelly and I, there's just a possible way. There's no way. I mean, could the two of us nurses do public health and do home health? Yes, with the support of our staff in the office, we are.
The administrative costs, I don't know that everybody gets the whole picture. The administrative costs, which the model I saw, the new one, the decertified model, was the 2 home health aides, the homemaker, 2 nurses, and there were
The staff for,
3 office staff.
which would include the director.
Okay.
So like
And
my position.
that being said,
Assistant director
the
position
front
was
office,
eliminated.
the front office person helps with immunization audits,
Public health side.
public health side. She goes out and she does a lot of public health stuff, the maternal health nest program. She coordinates equipment. She does so many tasks that we don't even understand, that it's not just the secretary, you know, people see administrative costs. They don't understand what's behind that.
Dealing with Iris for us so that we don't have to sit there on the phone for hours, we can be out seeing people. And then
Yes.
send the other one on the other side, taking care of all the insurances for us, so we're not sitting in an office for 2 hours trying to talk to insurance companies to get clarifications or whatever numbers or authorizations. And then you have one over the top to help us basically manage everything else, because
Grant,
we're gonna need grants.
payroll, budget, stuff
Right.
that we can't do.
And we need to have them in place to also help us with the schedule. So we know school audits are coming, you need to be here, hey, this is going on over here, you need to take care of this, we have immunizations coming in. So we can make our schedule to where one of us is here all the time in the southern part of Tama County. Well, basically, the other one's going to northern and running from one end to the other, but we need them people in the office to take care of all that paperwork so we can take care of the people. That's why we need.
And we've gone from, you said 16 to 9. And the budget that I knew of, the last budget, I think the last time I looked at it, it was somewhere around $1.9 million. And then that got brought down to $1.1 million with the tax levy. Cause I'm starting to really pay attention. And that got brought down to 1.1 with this new budget, and that's the decertified plan. 500 and some thousand in revenue from us, 500 from revenue from you guys, 300,000 being public health, and 200 for those lower surge, low income individuals. That was what was allocated in that levy. And I think, it's just speaking for me, I know Lee and I mean, we've been trying to look at contracts for the IV infusions, and we've talked to the VA, and they're sending us referrals already to get more VA, which is a payer source, that's income coming in back to offset that. And I know when I looked at the plan, I think we were somewhere around like $24,000 of breaking even, like right there, like it was right in there. And that's with the salaries kept where they were. That was with the 3% increase, which our Board of Health said with all the stuff that this office has gone through, that they felt that it was only appropriate to put that in there because we're working our tails off. And we're out there dealing with all this, just like every other county employee is doing their job. And if they get that 3% everywhere across the board in the county, and the 6% and the 14% raises, then they thought we should too. You know, so that's where all that came in with our wages. And the nurses that work in there, our wages have been brought into question. Why do they make so much money?
I looked it up on Indeed real quick, just want to know, I live here in
We
Tama
don't.
County, what is the average RN wage? And it came in right on my numbers, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's all I needed
So
to
that-
know when I closed
So
it.
that's what it costs to have an RN on staff, no matter where you go.
Because you came last year and said you had looked at our wages and you checked it all out yourself, so you know it's not our wages.
True.
So just looking at the budget and what was proposed and what you guys approved, me personally, I would ask that you stay where you're at. It's my, work towards, if you're gonna work towards getting a private person to come in and allocate and take over that home health, and you just need public health, great. Let's just do it in a way that we can do it like this slowly. Because this back and forth so quick, when we only have a few weeks or a few months till July 1st and June 30th, we would actually have to discharge everybody by May 30th with CMS. That gives me and her, we have a full calendar in May. Just to sit here is really like stressing me out because I have so much work to do, you know, to take care of these people and get them care and find them where they need to go. If the plan is that you want to go that way, we need to know
Otherwise,
soon, not like in 3 weeks.
I thought when you voted 4-1, that the plan was that we would start out and continue with the plan that we presented, and you guys voted yes to. And that by October, the two boards were gonna start working together about what needs to be changed. What are you guys seeing? Where the changes need to be?
Work
So
together.
we had time from October till next spring to say, okay, can we fix this then? Can we do this? Can we try that? You want transparency, we're trying to give you transparency.
Yeah.
And honesty.
Clarity, work together. If it won't work, it won't work. I mean, we're the first ones.
That's what I've been trying to tell you guys, the whole time when I've been coming back. We need time. Can't do anything in a big hurry. Let's go with the second plan. We believe we can handle it. And as far as hiring a new director, we realize that if we hire somebody that's a nurse also, that would greatly benefit. When these two ladies are out in the field, if somebody comes in the office and needs a shot or something else, it'd be nice to have a director that is also a nurse.
Sorry, it's Governor Reynolds,
So that would-
Chloe, my son. Governor Reynolds, my son.
we realize Lori is not a nurse. And the tough decision is, do we go out and try and find somebody to be our director? Yeah, I mean, we need a director, somebody to take charge. But we know that Lori would not have a job there. That's a very tough decision. I mean, she's one of the longest term employees in Tama County. So as far as cutting administration, yeah, we are looking at that too, David. Because, we don't need two directors in there. So that's a tough decision that the Board of Health will make 1st of June. I firmly believe you guys made a decision a couple weeks ago. Hardin County sounds like a good alternative. But I also believe we have some of the best employees in the county who are doing a good job. Let's take our time, come back in October, November, start looking at it again, do your homework. But give these people some time. That's what I'm saying. So, and I've been saying that ever since I've been starting to come back. Even when you approved the first plan, I still said, we need to look at this, instead of, we should have been looking at this from October last year. Instead of 2 months down the road and saying, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I don't like to do that. I like to take time and work things out. So my hope is that you guys go with the plan that you've already approved. We take time and, we as a Board of Health want to move forward. So, but if we do not hire a new director, Lori will stay on as the interim. So we are cutting costs, basically, either Stacy's or Lori's paycheck.
So Lori's position is also going to be eliminated in the transition plan. Is that correct? Like in March?
The decertification plan, yes. I mean, and part of that decertification, I'm gonna back up a little bit, part of that decertification plan too is there are certain steps that we have to go through. There's like 5 different things that we have to make sure that we follow. And one of them is that a cost report has to be completed. So we can't wait until June 30th to do that cost report, because it takes a good month between Jolene and I to get all those figures ready to be able to submit that cost report. So then that has to be done. If that's not done, then you're paying back all the money that we received from Medicare this last year and Medicaid. Potentially other insurances as well that require Medicare certification. So that's part of this uncertainty. We need to make sure, are we gonna be staying on or aren't we gonna be staying on? And if we're decertifying, which this the path that we're going down, that's what we're looking at, is making sure all of that stuff is done by June 30th. If I'm kept on, I can do it after that date, but if I'm done June 30th, then everything has to be done by then.
Yeah.
As part of that decertification budget, yes, my assistant director position is not in that budget. The director is in there, 2 nurses, 2 home care aides, 2 support staff, and 1 home helper. And then the sanitarian is in there. So you would be eliminating 1 administrative position.
So my, not a proposal, no, just my understanding of how I hear us talking so what it should look like is that you guys be given time until next year. However, that you are the director until you are done. And then you hire a new director. I don't hire a new director a year ahead of time. Maybe, I mean, there's some overlap that we want you to have. But if you still have some fun, that's to save the tax dollars. And so if you have duties outside of your scope that you can't cover, are there any things that you can contract people to do? Are there any agencies that do the cost report for you so that you can focus on other things? Are
We
there,
still have to gather the numbers from our agency on clients that we serve. It's a pretty lengthy process that we have to go through.
I get that. I mean, but if we're not using all of the 150, I mean, can we get by with contracting somebody, for 20 or 30,000? You understand what I'm saying, to replace the work. We know the work is gonna still be there. Some of it can be divided, but there becomes a time where it's too much for everybody that's there. Can I hire an outside contractor? That's what the direct, you would know that. Those things. And
I
so-
would still have to tell them what we needed, where to pull our numbers from to be able to do the cost report. If it's the last one that we're doing, it'd be easier just to have me do it. I mean, I've got instructions typed up, but no one else has ever done that there, and I don't wanna make it sound like I'm perfect or whatever and can do it, but to hire somebody to do $30,000 worth to do that, to me, it doesn't make sense to do that, but then.
And that's only an example, and
Yeah.
it's just a hypothetical.
Right.
Are there other duties that you have that are outside of what you can do in your time there that can be contracted so that we don't have to hire a full-time director? When it comes closer to your position being eliminated and then the new director coming on, then we would look at like some overlap.
According to the budget, my position is done June 30th.
But our hopes is that you stay on as the director. As far as we are concerned, we would want to keep Lori. She would just move into that position because she has.
But it goes against what Richard just said of not being a nurse.
Correct, I'm not a nurse.
But where are you gonna find a nurse who's gonna wanna come to work for this county right now? I mean, right now, I'm sorry, but
Problem is
It's
finding
not.
somebody that's willing to come and work as a director, as a nurse. With the uncertainty of
They
having
want
a job
to
in 6
agree.
months.
but
So more than likely with what's going on here, Lori's probably gonna end up being the interim director. And we won't replace Stacy's position. So when you guys talk about gut administration, I believe we've done it. I wanted to say something I shouldn't say in public, but a good job. Don't worry, we'll listen to you. But I can't talk for that board either. I don't know for sure what the other 4 members, I think some of them are listening. But don't get in a hurry. These people are doing a heck of a good job taking care of the absolute most needy people in this county. And if there's I hate to pay taxes too, but if I have to pay taxes, I want it to go to people that are helping the needy people in the county. And so, I've been in here arguing for different things, I'm doing the best I can to help mainly the people they take care of You know, and I know what kind of job these ladies do. So don't get in a hurry. Let's wait it out. Let's look at the options. You know, the best option may be to just leave it the way it is.
We're also gonna be reviewing a strategic plan for the next year to see what we can do to streamline things and help each other out. So the nurses are doing more nurse-specific tasks and not clerical tasks. Things like that. We've already looked at some of our contracts and have reduced some of those contracts. There's more that we need to look at, but we need time to be able to do that.
I highly encourage you to look at what outside agencies can help in a contracted role. To take on some of the duties that are going to be there no matter what happens. And so I think that that's the best chances at success rather than, you know, every new employee you put on, you double their salary with benefits. It's just really hard to justify adding new employees. You can get support from other entities, because I know that I didn't know any of this before we had this conversation, so it's been a good conversation. But also we have to look at the reality of what is, and we have to have a backup plan if this is unsustainable, because right now it looks unsustainable. Prove us wrong. I mean, I'd be glad to be proven wrong. But if, you know, over the next year, we have to kind of start looking at a plan B. Because we didn't want to be left jerking the rug out from underneath the nurses and the patients.
That's kind of what I've said. Give them 6 months, see how things are going. Let's come back and look things over.
Yep, that's how we plan to allocate the money, you know, like in quarters rather than all at once.
Well, you know, the Board of Health will decide 1st of June how we're moving forward. You know, and don't worry, we're listening to you. But we don't want to pull the rug underneath these ladies back here or the people out there in the county that truly need our support. I mean, I'd rather, like I said before, I'd rather pay taxes to help those people. Some of the other things that are going on with them. So,
Yeah.
I want to be clear. I know they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
I got no qualms about the job they're doing. The issue is, where are we spending the money? And so what Mark just said, I mean, it may be, we call a Hardin County team and say, hey, can you come in and do the home health care part? That may be the easiest way to do it. I don't know. But I'm asking the questions and I'm going down the path that I was expecting to be done last year. So, and I'm not angry if it comes out that, hey, these people can do that, there would be a transition plan. It wouldn't be, hey, you're gone tomorrow, you're starting today. There'd have to be a transition plan. And that would be worked out.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're gonna jerk the rug out from somebody's feet, but.
You're asking me questions that I don't have the answer to either. You know, and that's why I'm saying, let's take our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once,
And originally it was June 1st, was way back when, and it's like, is that enough time? We have like 4 or 6 months, but it's like, I agree, you know, like, we only have 2 months till then, like, it's gonna be very hard to do that. So I mean, from my point of view, we need to continue to look at things, but it's not like end of fiscal year, we just done, because that's hard, like you said, you gotta decertify, like, you gotta do all these steps to transition patients out, and if we don't have time to do that, I mean, that's bad on our part to just be like, sorry, like, figure it out, you know, they can't work 80 hours a week, you know, so, that's where my head is, but also, I don't like the rushing either, you know, the full details, I feel like, you know, like Mark said, it was first as decertified, I was ready to, you know, we had info on that, and then we come in and it was the full plan, and I had no info on that. And then the next week it goes back and, you know, who's the employees, what's the pay, you know, raises or no, like, I don't get the full details, and I feel like it's hard to make good decisions where we're all trying to work and help the vulnerable people. We all have that same goal. We're trying to help people in our county, but we also, as Mark said, we have taxpayers too that are struggling paycheck to paycheck because of property taxes, you know, not from our levies, but from assessed values in schools and cities, like, they can't pay their bills. And then what happens if someone can't afford they're gonna not be able to eat, they're gonna, other things are gonna go wayside, so it's just it's a never ending battle, right? When you got property taxes, you got employees, you got people that need the care too, so. As well as, yeah, the people that don't get the care, like Mark said, I'm more on the sliding scale side of it, like, that was my thought too, I'm like, I would think Meskwaki would have their own care, they seem to have, I didn't know that for a fact, so I didn't wanna, what's that?
They use our staff, but they are paying full fee mostly.
Okay.
As a
So they do pay, but they
pay
use our
for the
staff,
care of
okay,
everything.
so they're paying their, okay, I was just trying to
So if you
figure
went
out.
away, they'd have to find their own.
Then they'd have to find somebody that understands
However that you.
Yeah.
that population
It's the
and the culture.
Yep, and
And that happens, and that was the
Yeah.
first thing they said, what are we gonna do? We brought in so many of these outside companies, and our people literally fire them. They come in the door, they don't understand, and they're like, no, we don't need anything. She goes, and then we're in worse condition with them because they're not receiving it, but when you guys come in, you understand the culture out here, the beliefs, you're respectful of how we like things done, and but
So they send their patients to us, and that is another revenue stream for the agency.
right,
Yeah.
and that's where it's hard, cause you guys do bring in revenue, it's like you bring in as much as, but then. Our problem is, like I said, you gotta still levy for the 1.1 million, which what that means is we can't earmark it for anything else, right? So if we need deputies, or if we need, EMS people, like, and the state continues to pressure us, so. That's the hardest part, you bring it in, that's where it's like, there's gotta be a creative way to where we could hold some money and, continue to use that, or you have people that wanna donate, like, there's gotta be ways out there, I would hope too, cause it worked well, but it was just that funding source, just that it was such a high levy, but yeah, I do, I apologize that you guys are having to go through it, and staff, and it's not been easy on all parts, like I said, I think we all want the same plan, we thought it was clear last year that we need to really make some changes, so we probably started a little bit too late, and then the information back and forth hasn't been perfect, I would say, on either side, so,
We weren't aware of it until Mr. Wilkins came in and had his statement that it was even an issue.
right. And that was, we knew there was some
Just only a
issues.
few months ago, not last
there's
year.
a lot of change too.
Yeah.
From our director position.
For sure, and we had been bogged down with everything else until he brought that up, it's like, okay, well, no county around us is doing it, we are, it's good, we like it, but is it, taxpayers are screaming down our throat, we need to cut taxes, right? So it's a never ending battle, so, I think it's good to always look into things, but I agree, like, I think we need to kinda, in the next week or two here, at least figure out, like, what's our timing, like Mark said, if we're only gonna appropriate a quarter or 6 months at a time, whatever that is, figure that out, that way at least we have a landing, and from your guys' side, what is it, is it 6 months, like, what is a good timeline, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year, like a realistic one that benefits all parties, like how long does it take to, whether it's just decertify, whether it's go to just public health, like what does that take, so we don't rush into a decision, and I like that you continue to bring just discussion
Right.
versus like every time I feel like we got another proposal on our desk that we should have just probably held off, but we had a budget to get in the newspaper and, but we could still go forward with the budget as it is and then decide how much to allocate, so.
So at the end of the day, what are we to tell our patients? That's why Kelly and I are here in the
Yeah.
first place, is what do we tell them?
I mean, right now it's
We're-
decertified, right? I
we're
mean,
going
that's,
to go
We are decertified, we can't go back now.
yeah, that's what
The
we've
paperwork
approved is decertified. I don't think we're gonna go back the other way, is my thought.
can't.
So I would say right now it's decertified unless something,
We're agreeing to stay working for the county, in this county with our patients as nurses, not looking, just myself, not looking for outside employment. Because we don't know if we're gonna have, jobs.
Yeah.
That has to be laid there too, because
Yep.
we're gonna be in this county serving, like we said,
I've been here
Many
for
times.
25 years as a nurse.
whether it's in this position or it's in a nursing home here in town, or that's what we do, that's what we're gonna do, we're gonna still keep taking care of them, but I just feel we have the right to know, like, which way we need to go. Are we gonna have a job in 2 months on July 1st? Or are we gonna have another vote and all of a sudden we don't, because these patients, I went to the Goodwill yesterday in town, and the lady said, oh, how are you? I saw you don't have a job anymore at public health. I see it closed.
That's all day long.
All day long, and I went, no, we're still open over there. But if that one person thinks that, there's our revenue. Okay, that's what I look at in my head now. There's our
Right.
revenue, there's our payers. Like, nobody's gonna call us to even take care of them, and then we can't meet your needs and your requests and not be your budget, or not, so in the back of our heads, which for me is there 24 hours a day at this point, like, what can I do to keep this going? What can I do to cut costs? What can I do? And that's a part of nursing I've never experienced, because my job is out there to take care of people, not to think about, well, how could, it's just never been there, this aspect of it. So it's eye-opening, but yeah, we kind of needed to have an answer, because it's back and forth and back and forth, and we can't even sleep,
Yep,
let alone know what to tell people.
there's no action being taken today. It sounds like the consensus is to try to work on a plan moving forward.
Okay.
And nothing will change from the initial, from the proposal, not the initial proposal, but the final proposal that was given to us. And we're going to evaluate that on a quarterly basis, essentially. And so what, I think we should be doing at the same time, within a couple of months, we need to schedule a work session with the Board of Health and with the staff,
That would be great.
and as well as outside agencies. And look at all of the options and say, this, this is what we can offer, this is the support, because ultimately it's to try to get the best plan moving forward. We're not gonna get that with just us.
I would
Not
love to
gonna
see
get that
other
with just you.
agencies come in
But
to see what they
what,
say.
what can they offer? And maybe they can't offer what we hope that they can, and it just, everything stays the same as it is, and that's just what it is. But I think that we owe it to our taxpayers to kind of look at all of the different.
And we all are aware of the fact that this first quarter is not gonna look good on us. I mean, when this all went down, when the conversation happened here, I had 15 referrals sitting on my desk at that time. We had already met our Medicare benefit goal, and we had another 6, 7, 8 of them sitting right there on my desk to go out and bid. So the revenue was there, and then all this happened, and literally, I'm like, oh, I got a referral today. I got one referral today, So I'm not used to that. I mean, transferring what I'm doing over to a different position is fine with me, because before I became the clinical manager, that's what I did. I went out and drove. It's called my magic carpet ride. I go from one end of the county to the other end of the county. No problem. As many patients that needed to be seen that day, I can get it done. But we just want a chance to try and make this work.
We need to have our referral sources understand, yes, we are here, or no, we're not here, because that's what's driving our revenue too. If we can't get the referrals, then we're not gonna be able to generate the revenue.
Yes.
I had a patient's family tell me they were looking at another agency just because what they call the continuity of care was lacking, and they did not like the back and forth that we were having in our county, and they were gonna look elsewhere because of that back and forth. And that's disheartening to hear, because, they decided to stay, eventually, finally, said we're gonna be here and they're gonna stay. But, private entities coming in, I don't know that all of them, if they're coming from an outside area, it's that cost effectiveness is what we see in our office. Is it cost effective, which is why they haven't come in. We see these referrals come in all the time, and they are patients that are outside the county just a little bit. They can't even take care of their own in counties. They're calling us, is what we see on our side of this, okay? Because our county is so big, one of the 9th largest counties, right, in the state of Iowa, with no hospital. To drive this county, to know this county, when you got, say, Highway 30 shut, or Highway 63 shut down, and then there's a flood in Chelsea, and you got a roundabout in, and you got maybe a bridge being worked on, you need people that know our county to drive that in a cost-effective way, because otherwise they're gonna be spending $5, $4 a gallon on gas right now, and those agencies look at those numbers, those fuel, what it costs, and what they were charging people. They had to pay 4 hours
Yeah, I have
just for travel time
private paper.
to come into our county. They were gonna charge a private pay person that much money for the time it took to come in here and serve that person 4 times more.
That's based on the region too.
Yeah.
So some of these companies have regional areas. So even though they may be 10 miles outside the northern region, because the son said, I would like to know why they just can't come from the Waterloo office. They said, well, that's a different region. No, I'm sorry, they're gonna have to come from Newton. That's your regional office. He said, so now I have to pay for 4 hours of time that I was paying Tama County Public Health for an hour of. And that's gonna include the drive time as well. So now I have to pay for that person to drive from Newton all the way up here to take care of my dad. He's like, what is this all about? He's like, I'm calling the company. She told me to call. And he said, this is what I'm getting. And that's to me, I said, I am so sorry, but right now we are still open. We will continue to take care of it for as long as we can. And we'll try to find a different source, a different payer, or somebody else to come in and take care of if we do choose to close down. But when you're dealing with these companies, there it goes back again, you know, they have to ask the state if they can go outside their county. Same thing for us. We had to ask if we had to. Same thing with these other entities. So when we're looking at it, we also have to look at regions. For instance, Unity Point, you know, did talk to them. They did say they will come up and cover Tama Toledo out of Kawashee. But they're not going any further north than that. It's not cost effective for them. A lot of the people have to come from Des Moines as it is. You know, so just trying to also learn what areas, you know, each one covers. So it's tough.
Okay, we'll move on. Thank you for your comments. And hopefully that gives you some clarification as to where we're at moving forward and look for some cooperation in the future. Some joint board meetings.
So just to clarify, so I understand for sure, we're staying on the decertified budget that was presented when David was gone. And then we will meet again towards the end of June, beginning of July. Is that what you're proposing?
So for the 26th or it's 27, for the 27 year, whatever we approved 2 weeks ago is what we're moving forward with. It will be appropriated quarter. And so we're gonna look at it. We're not gonna wait until next January to be in the same boat. We're gonna try to be more proactive this time and look at where everything's going. What's coming in, what's going, that kind of stuff.
That's October, quarterly, July, October,
September, yeah. End of September, October, yeah.
and maybe we can meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, we'll probably meet in, you know, try to meet in the summertime. Not wait until the fall. So we can kind of put some guideposts up for where we want to go.
So we can let you know where we're at and then you can let us know what we need to improve in that.
Yep. You guys can tell us what you're finding. Oh, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Discuss and approve claims.
We have claims in the amount of 64,463.91, $64,463.91. I make a motion, we approve that amount.
Second. Okay, it's been moved to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good business, supervisor reports. Anybody got anything? I don't have nothing.
That's for later. Mainly just, I think it's June 30th is Board of Adjustment and Zoning Commission member. There's one on each side of that, one Board of Adjustment, one zoning. Board of Adjustment, person would like to stay on, which again, if other people would like to apply, it's a volunteer board. But the zoning commission member is not going to reapply, so there will be an opening, for this term that expires June 30th on the zoning commission, which would be the board that they meet about 2 evenings a month and they go through the wind ordinance. They already did the solar ordinance. They're doing the land use plan. They have like other things tooled up for like data centers and other items like that. So battery storage, things like that. So if that interests you, just get a hold of one of the supervisors or the zoning administrator. We're still trying to figure out the best way for the application, so I'll share that as we get, because last time it was more of a normal job application, but it's more of a volunteer board. I don't care how much, what someone did as their previous, it's good to have how often they available, what are their, why would they be good at that volunteer board? So, I'm working with, Karen and Paul just to work through that activity, and I'll get more info, but just want to at least get it out there that we do have for sure one opening. There's two that are having terms in. So,
At a meeting last week with, Region 6, I think they were setting their budget and they had averaged all of the increases to non-union, across the counties that they serve. They averaged that all up. It's like a 2.89% increase. So some people were up to 2.75 and 3. And so that's what they averaged everybody at, and then they approved that. That was about the extent of the meeting anyway. So another one was that, the guy that is the director there has been there for several years, and the executive committee had asked for a timeline on when he would be retiring to like replace him. And so I think we have agreed on a 3-month time frame, but he hasn't given that yet, and then we couldn't take official action on it yet because it wasn't. That'll be coming up. That's about all I have.
I do have one more. I had a DCAT meeting also last week, and pretty much CPPC is going to take over DCAT. Actually, let me see. No, I gotta read my notes here. CPPC and DCAT will go to HHS. So HHS is going to be, it had passed appropriations. I don't know. I haven't seen the latest on what their final decision, but it was looking very likely that DCAT will end at the end of the fiscal year. But it'll be kind of evidence-based contracts. But the question is who will manage at the state? And then the programming will continue. But again, what I do as a board member with DCAT will likely be ending the end of the fiscal year. So I will not be there since there won't be a DCAT board anymore. Other concerns is like staffing and efficiencies and such. So just another, thing where the state's making changes, and again, hopefully this program continues. I know Meskwaki has a contract through DCAT right now. Sounds like they're not spending the money very much. They tried last year, tried to encourage them. So there's things that there's money sitting there that Meskwaki can use, but sounds like there's some gaps there. But I think they had a health fair, which was good. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So that might be a appointment change next year. We might be removing DCAT because we're not on HHS, or at least myself, as a supervisor. So. Yep.
Yeah, they did wrap up the session yesterday after a marathon, 34 hours.
34 hours.
So the questions are just like, what did they do for us? No, what did they do to us? The House version of the property tax relief bill was horrible. It was horrendous. There's no other way to put it. It wouldn't have affected us on our levies because we'd already reduced our, so we'd already, set the levy, one levy at what it already was and reduced the other two. And so the property tax relief bill would not have saved Tama County taxpayers $1. And so it's all of the other particulars within the bill. They cap revenue growth at 2%. That was across the board. And so that's what was coming down the pipe. Well, they had asked us to reduce all of our ending fund balances to reflect a 30% total budget. And we had a couple of budgets, particularly the EMA that the state requires us to have. We must have an EMA. But we were lowering his budget to get it down to that 25 or 30%. And so we levied $0 for that this year. And if we can increase his levy by 2% next year, how much does that leave us in that account? Still zero, right? And so the Senate
too is 0.
The Senate version fixed that. They removed that. We also argued that some of the costs out of the supplemental fund are out of our control. We have a 17% increase in health insurance this year. If you're capped at a 2% revenue growth, where do you get that other 15% to make it up? we're gonna take deputies off, those are the kind of decisions that we were kind of up against, and I think that they fixed all of the bad ones. And then they said, notwithstanding language, it doesn't apply to this year's budget, so we can fix things for next year and still go by the same rules that they passed for this year. So essentially, how's it going to affect us? It's gonna make us, move things a little bit. But as far as total revenue that we're going to save, I don't think anything from this county, we already have done a pretty good job of being fiscally responsible over the last couple budget cycles anyway, so. But if you were really looking at it at the long game, you would have came in with the biggest bloated budget you could this year, so you could still levy at 2%, but that's not what we were looking at doing.
Yeah, it's not being good steward if we did that. I do have IT stuff when you're done. We've had a couple of denial of service attacks in the county. Looks like over the weekend we were hit. It looks like it's back up right now, but this is a second one that I'm aware of. The first one was out of India. I've been here, so I can't tell you who's doing it again, but there's an option that we're looking at. I'm not going to say it in public to help them, but there's another option we're looking at to fix that denial of service so that there's a backup. So I'll brief you more on that after it's done. We're clear.
But so far, none of our records have been breached.
Nothing. They've not been able to get in. And so what happened is they're trying to get in, and what they were doing is they were going through basically a name list, not ours, but just a name list and attempting to get in. But they were doing it so fast, it hit our firewall, and our firewall was working at 100%. And by doing it 100%, our systems would go down, then they come up, they go down, come up, and at some point they just stayed down because they couldn't get in. So, but I've got there's a plan that we're going to implement to fix that. So.
Nothing, that's good. Public comments, okay, public comments closed. Go ahead, Karen.
I have two questions. First, county sanitarian is paid out of which budget or budgets?
Public health.
In full salaries, public health. That's a question back here. Second question, before you all came on board, was the board of supervisors or the economic developer or a group of people, was there anybody that was specifically involved in the roundabout, whether it came in or not, didn't come in? I mean, was that approved by anybody in the county? Couldn't we stop that?
No.
So if there was a proposal for one right now with you, new board, you would have no influence whether, okay. And here's my comment then. So after saying,
Let me be.
Yeah.
Depending on where it's at. If it's a state highway, we don't. If it's a county road, obviously we do.
okay, thank you, so it's a clarification, yes. You have to realize that when I'm in here, a lot of times I'm speaking from a whole list of stuff that's been given to me for, just like these guys, you're out in public and we hear it all constantly, like we're gonna lose our public health. So now I'm gonna address the public health situation. So for a year and a half, you guys have worked so hard on all the budgets. I mean, all the budgets have been coming in. You've been working with department after department after department. I've seen that. Hardly anybody has been actually just let go. They've been shifted around within the county, given new job titles, moved from one building to the other, one room to the other, one office to the other. But hardly anybody, I know that's been brought up before, but almost nobody just absolutely lost their job. So I am so glad that you guys are going to just let this calm down, let the public get some security, because that's what it really comes down to when you're talking public health. And every budget, I mean, every department is an expensive department. I don't care if it's roads and two people in roads, maybe Tuesday afternoon have nothing to do, so they're just gonna sit and draw their salary and their health insurance benefits. I'm just using that as an example. Roads department, I'm just using that as an example. Dirk probably has hours each week where he has nothing to do. But seriously, every department is costly, every department is, and they all have their health benefits. So because of the public involvement in this department, more than any other department, it is awesome that you're just gonna let it calm down. I am so glad of that. And we need it. You've reached a point of agreement. I loved what every one of you had to say. And Heather, you really hit it on, because you're the woman in the group, so you just come at it from a different angle, always, we women do. So thank you for working with these guys and giving them something they can move forward with, because I don't think there's a single taxpayer in Tama County that wants to see public health outsourced and just go away, because that's, first off, you're taking all your local stuff away.
You've got to read my emails. There are
Finish the sentence.
there are people that,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's, boy, that's sad. So I would say they deserve what they would get. That's what I'm gonna say. And I say that with a lot of different positions in the state and in the United States. Wait till they get what they think they want. But anyway, so we need to have a little bit of security so that these guys know what to do for the rest of this year. So that we have something to fall back on, and so they know what their jobs are, what their job descriptions are, and what time they've got every single day, and where they should be and where they could go. So thank you for doing that, you guys, and it'll spill over into more calmness in the county and other, thank you.
so from KF.
You had to bring
You
it
know,
up.
every Monday morning I say, just pull over and stop, let that planter, let that semi go, they're bigger than you.
Yeah.
I mean, I live on that road, I know how to drive on that road, I'll probably be the one in the ditch because I'll, but the shoulders, it's a drop, it's just, there's no, you're not gonna just drive down in the ditch, people. You're gonna go over in the ditch, so stop, cars, little vehicles. So,
I
especially.
think I motion we adjourn.
What's up, over comment?
Oh, sorry.
Dirk, did you have something? Don't want to say it all. Just gonna take that from her?
I got one more public comment, and I make this public comment as a taxpayer of Tama County, not as an employee of Tama County Public Health. I want to make sure that's clear. My request is you guys look at next year's budget, because there are so many emails you say you get about people not wanting to pay for healthcare in this county for other individuals. That's kind of how I understood when Mr. Wilkins stood and talked. The Tama County taxpayers didn't want to pay for other people's health care when other agencies could do it. That was how it was quoted. Maybe take a look at, and this is coming from me as a taxpayer, take a look at what we're already paying for county employees' health care. Okay, therein lies a good chunk of money to come back to the budget. When I look at it as a taxpayer and a private citizen. A lot of money for each and every single county employee. The taxpayers pay for health insurance annually. You multiply that by the amount of county employees we have, that is a huge chunk of change. And it could be fiscally managed a little bit better, to where county employees pay a little bit more. And maybe the health plan get adjusted and brought down to a little bit less of a health plan, because we have a Cadillac health plan as far as our insurance guy says. That's what he said in our meeting last year. It's a Cadillac health plan. It doesn't exist anywhere else. So maybe bringing that down to still a great healthcare plan for your county employees, but costing the taxpayers a little less money. And put all that money back into the budget so you can fund programs such as public health and economics and all the things that are going to drive along for the county.
To take the reprimand Skip once again. However, let me give you a counter. We are self-insured,
Okay,
so by having our own health insurance plan, we have a account. We have a good health insurance account. If that ever started costing, we are doing really well
okay.
with that. Even though we're we were able to offset some, that $1 million deficit with some of that money. This year, we were able to absorb a 17% cut because we have the money to do so.
Okay.
17% increase.
What did I say?
Cut.
I'm sorry, increase.
Okay,
We got cutting on the mind.
I'm
Right.
still learning, so educate me.
So being self-insured, we are the benefactor of that fund. And so it gives us the ability to loan loan out of that fund to other funds if they need it. And we did that this year. That's the only thing I really
I
got
have
this
to
year.
just say, the health fund also is out of the supplemental, which does not help anybody else with the general. It
Right.
supplemental only can go towards health insurance by hypers,
Right.
therefore that money doesn't help us in our general fund,
No.
other than being able to borrow for
We
it.
can borrow it, but it has to be paid
And all of
back
that.
by the end of the fiscal year.
So all of that money that everybody sees that we spend so much on our health insurance for employees, that all stays in the county. That's not paying another company to give us health insurance.
Right.
That all goes into that fund and it sits there, and that's what Mark is saying, we're able to borrow against because we have it sitting there. It's just sitting there to pay the claims. It never leaves our county.
Okay.
So that it's drawing
Yeah, we
interest
get
while it's sitting
interest on
there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's,
We make money on the money that sits.
and like you're saying, it can't be used anywhere else. So even doing away with it, cutting anything there won't help any of it because it's not in general.
Yep. It would,
That's important information for us to know.
the interest that we make off that account probably almost offsets the, a couple $100,000 just off of it.
Just good information to know.
Yeah, it's in general supplemental, so, and health insurance, FICA and IFRS would be the main ones, so like, the benefits per se, those are in there.
Just as Mark kind of said at the beginning there, you gotta remember that when they're sitting here telling us about our health plans, they're gonna tell us the best because they're salesmen.
Yeah,
They're selling
I
us.
know,
They're the
it
ones
does
that
sell,
advocate for us, so they-
and more consultants.
Yeah, but they also wanna make it sound as good as they can because that's their job.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying we don't have a good plan, but you gotta take into account that they are also
Yes,
selling us.
there may come a time where we call it harder times. Where we're doing really well with the health insurance and we may have to pay a little bit more.
Okay.
But right now, we don't have to do that.
That we have managed the plan as a county very well. That is why we're sitting where we are and are actually sitting very well to where we had the money, like they said, to help in other areas when it was needed.
Good for me to know.
Very good. Thank you. What's your motion?
To adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. We're adjourned. 10:29. Understood.